Oh, it's an absolute honor to be here. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I just want to start out with saying something I got from Charles Fillmore, something I carry in my wallet. So let me get it out here for you. And it comes from the 12 Powers of Man. Have you ever read that book? 12 Powers of Man. And here's what Charles Fillmore said. And I love this. He said, "To be without zeal is to be without the zest of living. Energy is zeal in motion, and energy is the forerunner of every effect." That's some good stuff. Just curious, can we turn up the lights? Would that be possible? Yeah. Awesome. Speaking of energy, right? Lots of energy. Awesome. Perfect. And it reminds me of something Ralph Waldo Emerson said. And Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Nothing great is ever achieved without enthusiasm." So what I like to do is just to set the intention, to set our consciousness for the few minutes I'm going to share with you. We do a little bit of a warm-up energy activity. Sound great or sound great? Okay, so here we go. So if you're excited about life, if you're excited about creating your brightest future, let me hear you make some noise. Oh, wow, that was so awesome. I know we did it one notch higher. So if you're excited about your life, if you're excited about creating your brightest future, let me hear you make some noise. Woo! And if you would, please give someone a big high five and say victory. Big high five, victory. And you think about it. Every single day that you wake up, that's a victory. Yeah. If you would, please take a big, deep breath in and breathe out. How big a check would you write for that? It's priceless. And think, every day you wake up, every breath in, every breath out is a victory. Today, in our short time together, I want to share with you a part of my story. And I'm reminded of the words of Ernest Holmes. And of course, Ernest Holmes was contemporary Charles Fillmore, and he started religious science. And Ernest Holmes said this: "If someone else has done it, you can do it." You see, today as I share my story, I'm sharing your story. Because the fact that I stand here today is proof what's possible for you. The fact that I overcame cancer 3 times. One point spread the fluid in my brain. Doctors didn't think I was going to live. Went through a bone marrow transplant, had to relearn how to walk, and now I've completed 7 marathons on 7 continents. Proves what's possible for you, because the Christ within me is the Christ within you. That's right. And so I want to talk to you today, because this is what I discovered. In life, it's not so much about our circumstances, but it's about your choice. Because we can't always control what happens to us. But the one thing that you always have control over is the choice. And when it comes to creating your brightest future, that first choice is visualize your victory. Visualize your victory. Now, to keep the energy high, and also one of the ways that we learn is kinesthetically, which is moving our body, and to really anchor this into your consciousness. When I say visualize if everybody would go victory, it would be my whole highlight coming to Yuma. All right, you ready for this? All right, here we go. Visualize your victory. Doesn't that feel great? You wake up in the morning, victory! If you have a job or work, go back to the office tomorrow morning, walk through the front door, victory! People be like, what is wrong with you? It was a couple of years ago, I was stuck in the longest TSA security line in the airport, and I was so excited. I finally made it through the line. I went, victory! Big mistake. They put me in a special room. Full body pat down. Now, I want to share something with you because this is important. And one of the greatest ways to visualize your victory, one of the greatest ways to create your brightest future, having a sense of humor. Being able to laugh and smile at life. And you know what the great thing about laughter is? It's free. It reminds me, there was this study in Good Housekeeping, and it found that the average 4-year-old laughs or smiles up to 400 times a day. I mean, how many of you have kids? How many have ever seen a kid? Because they're in the presence. You see what happens, I think, here's the sad thing. The same study found the time they reach the age of 30, that number drops to 15. And I think what happens is so many people as adults, they get caught up either in the dead past or the imagined future. And they miss out on the only thing that we have is the present. Because you think about it. I mean, yesterday, that's a canceled check. Tomorrow, that's a promissory note. And all we have is the here and the now. So I'd like to do a little activity to put this in practice. So if you would, please, turn to someone your left, your right, and give them the biggest, cheesiest, show them all the teeth smile you have. Oh, there we go. There's a timeless truth that says, where there's no vision, the people perish. And the question I have for you today as we celebrate Easter, this time of rebirth, this time of new beginnings, is what does your brightest future look like? What do you want to have? What do you want to do? Who do you want to become? You see, the great thing about this adventure called life is that we are creators of the life we want. And sometimes things do happen to us that we, at the time, perhaps don't necessarily prefer. But I believe this is a powerful belief. That I believe everything that happens to you for two reasons. Either your happiness or your growth. Either your happiness or your growth. And I want to share with you why it's so important, why you got to visualize your
Victory!
And to do that, we need to go back to September 11th, 2002. I was a senior in college, and I couldn't wait to graduate. I couldn't wait to go out in the world and to make my mark and live my dreams. But as you know, sometimes life doesn't always turn out as we planned. That's part of the adventure. As I began that fall semester, something wasn't right. I had a sore throat that wouldn't go away, and I was sleeping up to 16 hours a day. During one 24-hour period, I slept 23 hours. Figure I had mono. Going around campus, some of my friends had it. Went to the doctor to get tested. The results came back negative. He said, "Matt, we got to run a few more tests. You're free to go home." A little bit after 1 o'clock, 9/11/2002, my phone rang. "Hello? Matt? Yes? Matt, this is Dr. McNamara." Now, when the doctor calls you at home, not a good sign. And he said, "Matt, I've got some good news and some bad. You're sicker than we thought. You have cancer." And I thought to myself, well, I sure hope the good news isn't that he switched to Geico and saved a bunch of money. I learned this from a great speaker, Keith Harold. He said this: "Don't tighten up, you've got to lighten up." Now, you don't have to raise your hand, but how many know someone that just needs to lighten up? You know, how many people tell you life's so serious? But I was so thankful because Dr. McNamara, he said, "Here, Matt, here's the good news. You can get through this." And I really believe this, whatever experience you're going through, whatever character building experience or learning opportunity you're going through, not only can you get through it, but you can come out of it stronger. Because once again, everything that happens in your life, either for your happiness or for your growth. 3 months, 3 hospital stays, 3 rounds of chemotherapy. I walked out of the hospital cancer-free. Yay. Victory! And Dr. McNamara said, "Matt, 80% chance the cancer will never return." I was like, yes! 7 months later, it came back. Not only did it come back, but he said, "Matt, you're going to need a bone marrow transplant." And they started looking for a donor and got back remission a second time. January 2004, still looking for a donor. And I started having this massive headache. I felt like here you go. It felt like a 18-wheeler was parked on top of my head. It was like the migraines so bad I could hardly get out of bed. And I was referred to this doctor and that doctor. I was finally referred to Kansas University Medical Center, downtown Kansas City, Kansas. I'll never forget that day. It was a Monday morning. It was cold and dreary outside. I'm sitting in the hospital bed waiting for test results. And I hear a knock. And into the room walked Dr. Doom. Now, this is the type of person that brightens the whole room as soon as they leave. Who has some Dr. Dooms in their life? Can I see your hand? I mean, this is the type of person, they're so negative, they walk into a dark room, they begin to develop. I like to call them energy vampires because they will suck the energy right out of you. I'll never forget that day, 25 years young, and you can imagine the fear I had, not knowing what was going on, knowing there was something that was not right. And she walks over to my bedside and she pulls up this chair. Matt, the cancer's come back, and it's spread to the fluid in your brain. Now, because of my positive attitude, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I'm going to have a brain transplant. I'm still looking for a donor. Are there any volunteers? Without hesitation, you have a less than 10% chance of living to the age of 30. She got up and she walked out. You know what? In hindsight, I'm glad she did. Because I didn't need that negativity in my life. You see, one of my mentors, Les Brown, said this: someone else's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. You see, that's why on a daily basis, you got to renew your mind. You know, Paul wrote to the church in Rome, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because unfortunately, we live in such of a negative society. I mean, you front page of the TV, you turn on the news. By the way, you all know what CNN stands for, don't you? Constantly negative news. Renewing of the mind. So, for example, one of the things I do, because here's what I realize. See, Solomon in Proverbs says this: there's life and death in the power of the tongue. See, Dr. McNamara, he spoke words of life. Dr. Doom spoke words of death. And I think sometimes we're our own Dr. Dooms. And one of the things I want to encourage you is, in part of visualizing your
victory,
you got to speak words of life to yourself. I'll give you an example of what I do. So we probably all have this or used to have this little box in our room. A lot of times now it's on our phone. Makes this really nice noise in the morning. We call that what?
alarm clock.
Alarm clock. Does anyone get warm fuzzies of the word alarm? I don't have an alarm clock anymore. I call it a victory clock. Because every day it goes off, that's a victory. You see, whether it's an alarm clock or a victory clock, that's your choice. Because in life, what you focus on is what you get back. Now, what happened was, because the cancer came back, spread the fluid in my brain, they put a special device in my head called the Omaya reservoir. Basically, it's just a port to administer the chemotherapy. Well, it got infected. They had to take it out. So now I have an indention in my head. So after my talk, for $5, you can feel it. Remember, don't tighten up. You got to lighten up. Oh, man. We're trying to get 400 laughs in today. Now, what happened was this got infected. One of my kidneys began to fail. Temperature rose to 104 degrees. And around Valentine's Day 2004, I slipped in an unconscious state. 2 o'clock in the morning, guess who came to my hospital room?
Dr. Doom.
Yes, Dr. Doom. Now, I was completely out of it, so I had no idea she was there. But I was told later that she assessed my condition. And she walked out to the nurse's station. And she told them, you need to call Matt's family and friends. He's not going to make it through the night. But you see, what Dr. Doom didn't realize, what we know, the Christ within. You see, I was visualizing my victory. You see, Paul writes to the church of Corinth, he says this: so we do not fix our eyes on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Miraculously, I recovered. Now, the first thing I remember, I came out of this unconscious state, is I'm sitting on the hospital bed, and I remember looking down, and my shoes were untied. I remember looking at them, thinking I was supposed to do something with them. I couldn't remember what it was. At the time, because of the brain damage, my speech was slurred, and I had problems getting out words. I couldn't even read a paragraph. See, once again, Ernest Holmes, if someone else has done it, you can do it. Realizing that today, when I tie my shoes, that's a victory. Yeah. Realizing opportunity. This is my newest book here. I went from not even able to reading a paragraph to writing a book. And this right here is proof what's possible in your life. You see, that's why it's so important. We've got to visualize our victory. Because what happens so often, those Dr. Dooms, those negative thoughts, keep you from living your true and fullest life, knowing that you're a creator. And what happened was, as I was sitting there, looking down, trying to remember what to do, my dad walked over. And just like when I was 5 years old, he knelt down, he took a hold of my laces, and he tied my shoes. 25-year-old man, and my dad had to tie my shoes. And I think back, if only they would have been Velcro, that would have solved the whole problem. And after he tied my shoes, they helped me to stand up. And once again, I knew I was supposed to do something, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I put one arm around the physical therapist, one arm around my dad. To my left leg, picked it up and put it in front of my right. To my right leg, picked it up and put it in front of my left. One by one, as I had to relearn how to walk. And that day, even with their help, I couldn't even go 5 yards. And they got a wheelchair, they put me in the wheelchair, and they wheeled me back to my hospital room. And I got back to my hospital room, and they helped me out. And I remember laying in my bed. As I laid there, I thought to myself, pardon me, that Dr. Doom, that little voice said, Matt, just give up. You can't do this. But then I remembered visualizing my victory. And I got this crazy idea of running a marathon. And get a crazy idea like that, I'm pretty sure it was all the medication they had me on. But to me, the marathon represents just like the ultimate endurance event. And that's why I ask you, what victory do you want to achieve? Because I believe that's why you're here, to achieve these victories, to live your life to the fullest, to experience happiness and growth. This learning experience, this learning adventure. You see, life is like magical adventure. Sometimes life is like a roller coaster. But why do people ride roller coasters? Because they're fun. Well, to some of us. Personally, I'm a little scared of them. 2 years and 4 months visualizing my victory, I made the starting line of the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. 22,000 people, and over the loudspeaker, they played one of my favorite songs, Beautiful Day by U2. And I was getting fired up, pumped up, inspired. And then, the national anthem. And I got goosebumps listening to that. And right before the starting gun, an interesting thing happened. This little voice in the back of my head spoke up. Matt? And I made the mistake of answering. Yes? What are you doing here? You can't do this. Only 0.1% of the world's population has ever completed a marathon. And you've had cancer. You're still on medication. You're 1 year removed from chemotherapy. Just give up. Don't embarrass yourself. You see, the biggest, I don't really like the word challenge, the biggest opportunity, there we go, opportunity that stands between you and your brightest future, stands between you and the victory and living the life of your dreams and manifesting what you want to manifest and just living your fully with a Christ within, are the limiting beliefs, the negative self-talk, the self-defeating inner dialogue. Many times, we're our own Dr. Dooms. And that's why it's so important on a daily basis to visualize your victory. Because here's the thing. The feelings you feel, the thoughts you think, and the words you speak determine the life you live. So I want to give you something I use for that little voice. It's one of my favorite affirmations, and it's this. I'm too blessed to be stressed. And so I want to put this to practice because it's so powerful. So I'm going to ask you, how y'all doing? When I ask you how y'all doing, if you could just say, I'm too blessed to be stressed, once again, my whole highlight coming to Yuma. Here we go. How y'all doing? I'm too blessed to be stressed. Wow. Because you think about it, just the fact that you woke up, the fact that you're able to say that is a blessing. And that's one of a million. So I told a little voice in my head, hush up. Bang, the starting gun fired, and off we went. And we were coming to the final stretch. I had gone 26 miles. And I never realized how far 0.2 miles could be. I mean, they went forever. And I did it. I crossed the finish line. Victory, victory, victory. And they hung a medal around me. And let's see, even though there's like 22,000 people, I think I got like 18,159th, but I had no shame. I was like, this is the Olympic gold medal. And my girlfriend at the time, she ran up to me, we embraced, and she looked up to my eyes and said, Matt, an 83-year-old man beat you. Really? I didn't see you out there running. By the way, she's no longer my girlfriend, but we wish her the best in life. And the greatest finish line I crossed was Mother's Day 2004, when I walked out of the hospital after a successful bone marrow transplant, and I've been in remission ever since. Victory! And yes. Oh, yeah. You have a question? Yes, past January, I did a marathon in Antarctica, and we even ran by penguins. Yeah, but look at, after the service, come up to me, I'll show you some videos of it on my phone. Yeah. So yeah, actually, I told you I had some brain damage. And one of the first things I did when I found out that I was going to get to leave the hospital on Mother's Day is I picked up the telephone and I called my mom. And I said, Mom, happy Mother's Day. I get to go home. And she said, Matt, that was the greatest Mother's Day gift ever. Well, because of time, we're about to wrap this up. Before I do, I just want to thank you so much in the short time we've had now. And I really encourage you to come back at, we'll stay for lunch. I mean, $5, that's like better than you get at Subway. Is that a deal or is that a deal? And then come back, just 2 hours, we're going to put a lot of great stuff and share more of my story, but more of what I talked about. If you can't come to the seminar, understand, I really recommend this book of mine, because I just got this out, and it tells my whole story, and I go in depths of 3 choices you have to make. The visualize your victory, but also the other 2 important ones is you got to take action, and you got to elevate your attitude. And we're going to go in more depth in the seminar, but also in the book. But I want to give you something to take away here, because I realize we go outside these doors, and we're going to come across some Dr. Dooms. And so people would always come up to me after my talk, and they said, Matt, what was that quote you shared, the affirmation? So I made a victory card. 4 quotes on the front, 4 quotes on the back. We back through the table, so make sure when you leave, pick up a victory card. And I got a whole bunch of them, so for family, friends, you know some Dr. Dooms, it's a good way to give it to them in a polite, nice way. And then also, I have a little gift for you. Read this every day. And then also, you can see I wear this. It's on I always wear this around my victory bracelet. And the reason why I wear this, every time I look down, it's awareness to remind myself, the fact I'm reading that is a victory. But also remind myself, what victory do I want to achieve today? So I have a whole bunch of these back there. Woo! Look at that. It's full of energy. It's jumping all around. So I have those back there, victory. So take care of that. Free gift to you. Take as many as you like. And then also, as I share with you, I had a Monday I wouldn't want anyone to go through. But I realized so many people experience manic Mondays. I mean, so much so, they made a song of it. You know, you think about it. You've heard of TGIF, right? Have you ever heard of TGIM?
No.
Did you know the most heart attacks occur Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m.? People do whatever they can to get out going to work. I'm just saying. So I'm on a mission to turn manic Mondays into magnificent Mondays. So you go back there, get your free victory card, your free victory bracelet. It's a sign-up sheet. Put your name and your email, and every Monday I'll send you a free Monday victory email quote designed to fire up, pump up, inspire. Sound great or sound great? All right, awesome. So now we're going to close this up with my favorite part of my talks, my signature close. We're going to celebrate your victories and your brightest future ever. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross the finish line together. And when we cross that finish line, all together go, victory, 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 3 times. Make lots of noise and give at least 2 people a big high five. Because one thing I learned is you got to celebrate life. So if you would please, if you're able to, please stand up. Get those running shoes on. We've gone 26.1 miles. We're coming down the final stretch. And here we go. We crossed the finish line all together. Victory! 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 Lots of noise! And give someone a big high five. And remember, if you can see it, believe it's possible, you can do it. Thank you, and please be seated. Awesome. Awesome. Woo! All right, I'll be back there. Like I said, I got a few books if you're available in those, and all good stuff.